Welcome to the 1879 actual play. I am Brad Decker. I'm the line developer for 1879, and as usual, I'll let everybody go ahead and get their introductions out of the way as I get the announcements posted.
Hi, my name is Chris. I have done some writing for 1879, but in this particular instance, I am playing Weymont, who is a mage.
And
Hi,
apparently hates the English. Bad man.
I mean, no, that's just me.
my name is Drew. I play a truck or a troll warrior named Mac.
Rock Warrior.
Truck
Yeah.
Warrior.
We're going Mad Max today.
I'm Joel. I'm also an 1879 writer. I'm playing Morgana, the elven aristocrat.
I'm Michelle and I'm playing August. He's an elven investigator rather than an elf investigator. Although, you know, if they do crimes, then he'll investigate them, so I suppose that counts.
You were an investigator this whole time?
Yeah.
Yeah. We should let him investigate things more. Here's like evidence analysis and everything.
You guys are
I've been
private
using it.
investigating stuff all the time. You are knee deep in an investigation right now.
OMG! WTF!
Is that why we work for an investigative company? That would explain a lot.
Yeah.
It all makes sense.
I mean, yeah, it's funny and all that, but legitimately, I had no idea up until now what your what type of character you were playing.
And this is what we'd like to call an actual play, where we don't edit out that. You're welcome.
Leave that bit in.
and we don't always listen to each other's character introductions at the start.
Well, I was going to say, I've been introducing him that way since ever.
But then again, I suppose we all work for an investigation company, so that's probably where Chris's mistake was.
Technically, this is why she said I'm an elven investigator, because before she'd said things like I'm an elf investigator, and we're like, so you're going after the elf? Huh? What's with that shit? It's like,
Yeah.
Morgana volunteers as tribute.
Yeah, well, she would.
Well, to be fair, most of the party is elves.
Isn't Nigel the token human?
He is.
Nigel
is.
the token
Oh,
human.
he
Yeah.
was.
He's a,
He
And then
was.
you
And
brought
then,
in
and then
a
you
troll.
joined us, Drew.
yeah, but
So now,
Mac's a
they're
troll.
a little more diverse.
Yeah, Mac is very subtle in that way. You know.
This is
As
why
a
we
Brit?
said you're the
Right,
truck
right.
fighter.
Hey, I thought you
Right.
brought in a troll so that Nigel looked even more puny and human. But okay, sure.
No, we brought in the troll so that there was somebody else to shoot other than the
Than me.
investigator.
Yeah.
All right. I'm Andy, the GM, supposedly.
No,
Who
definitely.
wants to recap? I'll give you my recap. My recap is that no matter what a certain character or player says, I'm not trying to do any Scottish accents because they will be awful, and all he's going to do is laugh at me. There,
Oh,
that's
please.
my recap.
Well, yeah, but
That's my
that's
recap.
part of the reason to do them.
No. But that's not a very good recap. So somebody else should do a better recap.
We'll
All right, Drew.
We'll have to do the recap in
Drew,
a
you
Scottish
have drawn the
accent.
short straw.
All right.
Drew's drawn the short straw.
The way Mac remembers stuff, there was this gal, and she fell in with a cad, and the cad was doing bad stuff to her and ruining her reputation, and she was naive to a little emotionally needy, and things went south, and then he was blackmailing her, and then the guy died of arsenic, and she had bought some arsenic, which was used as circumstantial stuff to convince her in the court of public opinion, because Victorians love drama and they love to blame women. And
with the drama.
with the drama. So then we found out that the arsenic that the gal bought was had a dye in it, so you didn't confuse it with because it's poisonous, and so it was a safety thing that it had dye in it, and there was no dye found in the guy's body, so that's a circumstantial thing that goes in her favor. And then we also found out that he had multiple, like 3, 4, 5 passes of historical issues with arsenic related stuff in his own history, because he liked to be a bit of a pretty boy and used arsenic to give himself better skin as he went from woman to woman, because he was a womanizer and sometimes a fellowizer, to get his way and make his way in the world, because he didn't have money and he was trying to trade on his pretty looks. And so we were making sure we had the circumstantial evidence back to the lawyer that's defending the girl that maybe fell for the CAD, so they could start to public relations help with her reputation, while we were also following up to find out who indeed did kill him. And we had several suspects um, who had interactions with him and also had access to arsenic, and we were trying to triangulate that and narrow it down between where he worked and where he lived, and where he did a lot of drinking and boasting about his female conquests. Did I miss something important?
I think you got it.
Yeah, I think the only bits I'd suggest is we think his ex-landlady, who thought he loved her, may have leaked some letters to the press. And an awful lot of people seem to think that they were the one who'd won his heart.
And there was something about a book about how to seduce women or something, or how a woman thinks,
That
because
was a book about about the dangers of using arsenic for beauty, I think.
well, I seem to remember thinking in my
He's correct.
Something Ugly Girl Papers.
Yes, yeah.
Other little papers, but it's about using arsenic and being careful about your use, and leaving. There's an entire section about leaving a letter so that your family doesn't get accidentally accused of killing you, so that people knew you were using arsenic, because it turns out it did happen where people would accidentally
overdose.
and yep.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So that was
So
one
yes,
of the
no, there
we
is a
were
book, but it's called The Ugly Girl thing. I'd have to look it up, but
yeah.
got notes on that somewhere. And
So anyway, I thought one of our like loose ends was to try to find and see if he did leave a letter like that to help clear the girl and her reputation. And the other note I wrote here in the margin in my little journal book was, if you want to ask, if you want to know what a woman thinks, have a white male author of a different age write down what he thinks women thinks for beauty treatments. That's all I got.
which is actually not necessarily totally wrong either, especially for the period.
So for follow-ups, we had investigating or maybe sneaking in to see if we can find the stash of letters that the landlady maybe tucked away and was leaking from, and see if the letter was in there. We had going to work and see if there was some stuff we were doing there, but I didn't understand exactly what and why. And then there was some stuff with his 2 drinking buddies and where they go. But you maybe have other things on your list for follow-ups that I missed.
I think that was a reasonable recap.
Yep.
No, don't tell anybody. Matt was paying attention.
So, tell you what, you can now do all of our recaps all the time, forever.
No.
No, that's not fair. All right.
And where were we when we left off? We had just gotten back. I had a note. We circled back to. I don't remember the employer's name. I can't find that note. But we were back, like giving him this intel because it was important. The dye thing was important enough we thought we could help. He could start to save her reputation by handling that and leaking it out properly. So I thought we were back with the employer, but maybe not.
The last bit I had was from what we found from the autopsy, or I'm sorry, from the apothecary, was that the dyes that they sold to the apothecary that she would have bought would have blue dyes in them, and they are stable in acid. And the last bit that we found was that nothing that they would sell that would be undyed, but possibly something in manufacturing.
Yeah, there's another but and he was also weirdly protective of his daughter. Like, evidently like cads like this dude were going after her or something. Something was weird there with the daughter.
Andy, I think we're echoing off you a little bit.
Maybe I'll see what I can do with that. I don't remember anybody being weird about their daughter.
The apothecary was quite protective of the young lady who
Very
worked for him.
protective of his daughter, and has taken that the other lady is obviously a harlot, and you're helping to protect the harlot. He was kind of weird, just in general.
I just had a weird marker next to him, something about a girl, and it wasn't good. So I think we should turn this over to August now to lead the investigation and take it forward.
That's what just found out. August is an investigator.
Right?
What do you think he's been doing this whole time?
Same thing we've been doing this whole time.
Tanking bullets?
Talking to people. Well, that too.
August is the one the landlady seemed to like, so he might be able to find out about the letters. Because an awful lot of the court of public opinion about the girl's guilt is, one, that she bought arsenic, and two, the contents of the letters that leaked out made her look like something of a harlot.
I have an opinion about that particular thing, as long as I'm continuing to Mac is just a stand behind the scenes and jump in front of the bullet kind of dude. But the landlady, we talked to her, we got some intel from her, you schmoozed her, you got what was on the table for clues from her.
Yeah, but
my impression is it's time to break into the apartment and search for the papers. That was my impression, but it is up to you.
Whereas the landlady didn't like Morgana.
Yep. But did like August.
August, I have 2 words for you: honey and pot.
Yeah.
Good lord.
Because I also had.
There has been much worse things said in my house this morning, so that's fine. That's peaceful.
I was going to say, considering the last landlady that August talked to was trying to get her to marry Morgana.
Thought he was married to Morgana.
or yeah.
You were trying to help her just have kids, yes.
Just hell bent on babies.
Yeah, let's just not.
Morgana might be willing to practice, but no, actual children, oh God, no.
And in all truth, your own mother would not approve. Well, August's mother might approve, but
yeah, Morgana's mother not so much.
Not approve.
Morgana's mother's approval is the very last thing she worries about any man she intends to romance. It has to be said.
Or probably most other things.
Romance.
I mean, she doesn't approve of your clothes either. She doesn't approve of much.
What a shame. Such a terrible shame.
Oh,
Right,
well, she doesn't approve of the brother either, but that's what she's got.
Now, if you all would just settle down and do everything she says exactly how she says in the order she said, things would just go swimmingly.
Yeah.
So we're not fixing Lady Morgana's mother today. What are we doing?
Well, at this point, I think it's a matter of finding. It sounded to me like the very first logical thing to do was to get credible, not guilty or not proven or whatever the Scottish law thing was, and the die evidence established that for the legal side of it. On the other side of it, in my mind, the key things are the written out letters that have been leaked to the press, getting those gathered up to protect her reputation, and maybe finding the one that says I've been taking arsenic to family and friends, so if he followed the advice from the book, that to me is the best thing we can do to protect this girl. So that there's other stuff scattered through this mystery, but the one that I think would be most effective at achieving our stated goal of protecting the girl is to find those letters next. So that means maybe breaking into the apartment, searching and ransacking the place, messing it up a little bit.
Or, you know what? I could go back and talk to the landlady and see if she's got them.
And would let you look at them to find more evidence of the girl's guilt.
Yeah, however you want to finesse it, that to me is the target, and then we gotta find a way to target and blow it up.
Seems reasonable.
Well, and the thing is, we got to find enough evidence to, at least if it goes to a jury trial, because the court of public opinion is fairly swayed at this point.
Yeah,
the best will be finding out who actually did it.
Well, I also we had when we did the cross checking on the was it called a barrister? I don't know what the lawyer dude that hired
Barrister.
us.
Yeah, it's a barrister.
He was good. Like, give him some stuff and he can create reasonable doubt and kind of move forward. So we've ticked that first box. I think the next one is
I'm still not convinced that we've created enough reasonable doubt. We need to collect more. I mean, yes, obviously, if we can find the person who did it, then yeah, absolutely. But we gotta.
When I was thinking this through after the last session, I had find the letter that they talked about in the book, or get rid of the other letters that could be used as evidence on the other side, and then below that, again, the idea is protect the girl first, and then find the real killer, and that will also help with it. But the first thing is just to make sure she doesn't get, I see a woman in this era as being at risk of, suicide, or having her life completely ruined, or like all of these things that that society did to cram women into that box. I'm just like, no. So I want to protect her first, and then I want to get the bad guy.
One of the people, not that you need to investigate that or not, that was on the list at one point there was a woman that he was engaged to years ago that he ended up in the hospital over because he threatened to kill himself if she left him, and he attempted, at least enough to be in the hospital.
A lady we have down as being called Blair.
Yeah, that's a good deposition to add for the lawyer. I like that too. But again, whatever the party wants to do, I would say enroll. This is August's moment to come forward and lay out a plan and say, what would the investigator do?
It's true. August is apparently the investigator. So, what do we do?
You're now claiming that August has pulled the short straw.
Well, when hasn't that been true recently? Blazing player.
Well, most times.
Really? That landlady really liked you and has not tried to shoot you. I think you're getting up on that upward, getting some momentum there.
Yeah, and I mean, I did actually have a note in after the session, not last session, the session before, to go back and speak to the landlady about the letters without Lady Morgana being present. But for some reason, we never managed to get to do that last time.
Well, Morgana will go somewhere else, and you can talk to the landlady. She might go and see if she can track down some information about the previous fiance, actually, because it sounded like she was from a rich family.
I like that plan. I don't like splitting the party, but I like that plan. Do you want us just for a role play on this thing? How about if we set a scene where August goes back with let's say Weymont and Nigel maybe, or would you want one-on-one? While I think of myself as the aristocrat's bodyguard, because that's kind of how things would fall in the social setting. So I can be back with Morgana, ready to come in if something goes south. But how do you
Sure.
want to handle it?
Well,
That
I'm more
sounds a
than
reasonable
happy to
plan.
go. Yeah, I'm more than
That
happy
sounds
to go with
fair.
whoever, by all means. So what do we want to do first?
Andy's muted. I think she might be organizing stuff on her end.
That makes sense. That's fine. That's fine.
She does have a dragon that sometimes comes in to attack her.
I have lots of dragons. I'm. So what do you guys want to do? I'm just waiting till I'm told.
Well, seems to me that we have decided to split the party.
Okay.
Yes, we can do
So
more
who do we
damage
want
that
to
way.
talk about first?
August, go.
All right, August. Who's with you?
You're really fixated on this, aren't you, Chris?
I think Mac is with Lady Morgana. So is both Nigel and Weymont with you?
I believe so, yes. So, well, definitely Weymont. I wasn't sure where Nigel wanted to be, but
So,
Doesn't
Nigel, where are you?
particularly matter to me. I can go along with. That's fine.
I would actually suggest that Mac and Morgana just be at a shop or a cafe across the street or something nearby where it'd be reasonable to hang out, where we won't be in the face of the landlady, but we're near enough to provide support if needed. And let's do that. Don't split the party. Keep people together, but with a front on front, and then we'll move to the fiance and see what we can do there.
That
Later.
is true and fair and right. We just don't know what could happen in there. We could get in there and the fiance might suddenly have bodyguards all armed with I don't know, Remington guns.
Don't give Andy ideas.
Cat paper clips.
It's happened with the sharks before now.
Yeah. So Morgana, you and I will just hang back and have a cup of tea at
Yeah.
a place nearby, and then let them kick some ass with the role play.
Oh, maybe a small brandy or something.
Ooh.
And I think once we get in there, Weymont and I will probably make ourselves scarce to give the cover. The idea that we're just providing cover for August.
Give August time to and see if August keeps her busy so you can like look around.
Investigate. Yeah.
Well,
Basically.
yes, but I think we're gonna play it off to her of we're just giving cover so that he can come and have a visit without it being
Inappropriate.
yeah, so social propriety and all that, and we're
I get you. I get you.
so she thinks that
So
we're just
now-
there to provide cover so that she can have all her attention on August while we're now looking around and finding stuff.
Yes. We can go around and, I don't know, look in astral sight and all sorts of things. Because, we're
Reinvestigate
mages.
rooms.
Raymond, I know that when you're looking for those letters, you're actually going to be in her under things drawer. I just know it.
That is just a spurious lie.
Hey man, it's a comfort thing. I don't judge.
I mean, okay, there's a couple of things wrong with that statement.
So August, are you ready to work with the landlord?
This degenerated quickly.
Right? I was just going to go in there and do some investigating with the investigator. Meanwhile, you're over sitting in a cafe, basically
who's
telling
that?
lies about me.
Yeah, what do you expect from the truck warrior?
I'm going to claim with an overly straight face that Morgana's never thought about Waymont's underwear.
Right?
I don't know about that.
Yeah, but she has managed to worry August quite a bit.
He worries too much.
All right. Well, what time of day do you want to go? Morning, afternoon, evening? What are we doing?
What time of day was it when we finished up last time?
I think
I
we were
think
sort
it's
of
the end
early
of the
afternoon.
day. And you guys don't go back to the hotel to talk. I
Oh.
thought.
Yeah, that
All
could
right,
be
so
true.
it's now. So it'll be now the Tuesday then.
Yeah.
Am
That's
I
fine.
wrong? I could be wrong. I don't know.
No,
I don't think we had established yet,
genuinely
but
couldn't
that's
remember.
fine. Yeah, because my last notes
We'd
were
done
from Monday
quite
the
a bit.
20th.
That's fine. I'll go and
So what time of day?
probably 11 after sort of, I don't know. If they're going to be sitting in a cafe nearby, probably for 11s or something like that.
Yeah. Oh, 11s is. That's always good.
Because, Morgana likes 11s apparently.
Who doesn't?
Or
By the way,
something. I
apparently
don't know.
Victorian England eats like hobbitses. So 11
Yeah,
makes
second
perfect.
breakfast. Yeah. Like second breakfast.
I'm going to have to just find Nuntion at some point in this.
It's where the meat comes from, right?
No, that's luncheon. I'm talking about Nuntion, which is another meal. At
Oh,
about
I
noon.
heard. I
Luncheon,
heard
yeah.
luncheon.
Well, they do sound very similar.
Yeah. So, yeah, probably about 11 o'clock, something like that, Andy.
Okay. You guys go knock on the door while the other two are literally basically down the street, not far, waiting.
And just to be clear, Mac is in full on. He's a little nervous when we split the party, so he's like planned out how to sprint down the street to get there, and he'll be sitting in a way that allows him to see if anything like goes flying out a window or hears a scream from the building that the landlady lives in.
If you have worries about it, I will give you assurances. I have a spell where I can send you a message if we run into trouble.
That's awesome.
So we have magical communications. It's not that big of a deal.
It's good. It's good. I mean, I think he's just worried about the fact that everybody he's sent into that building is squishier than he is.
Well, yes, but we can call
We
for
managed
help.
just fine before he came.
But point being, we can call for help, so it's not like you have to be
Yes,
trying to
we can.
Superman here. We got you. If we need you, we'll let you know.
I'm just saying how I play the role.
Oh no, that's fine. I'm saying that within the role of we can communicate with you. So
Comlinks are good.
yeah.
All right. So August knocks on the door. Landlady comes forward, and she seems a bit like you feel like her initial reaction would have been, "What do you want?" And then she sees you, and she kind of pats and straightens her hair a little bit. Oh, I wasn't expecting company today.
She fancies you, August.
Yeah, well, he's used to that with Morgana. He's trying to ignore that with Morgana as well, because,
Wow. Poor Morgana. All right.
not very
So what do you
successfully,
think?
I may add, but, Well, hopefully this won't take long. I've just got a few follow-up questions about the case that we're investigating. May we come in?
She frowns a bit at the mention of you're here for the case, but then primps a little bit more. And of course. It just would have been more comfortable for me, since it's so unexpected, if it had just been you.
Don't worry, madam. Just act as if we're not even here.
We will leave you to your questions. I'll kind of say it, and we'll nudge our way out. Like I said, help give her the impression of we're just here to provide cover.
And she picks up on that quicker than I did. So that's good. In fact, she even says you two can go and re-look at the apartment while she makes a nice cup of tea for August. Although she'll use Mr. So-and-so because technically in that era they had used Mr. So-and-so.
Yeah, Mr. Ford.
Yep, sounds good to me. Thank you very much, man.
I will let you guys make a couple of rolls for perception or whatever you want if you have something better in a minute.
Awareness. Yep, so it'll be like awareness, astral sight, all that nonsense.
Yeah. But I'm going to first start with making one of my other players uncomfortable. So I'm going to go do that right now. You're welcome. She goes and puts you in basically what's her living room. Because she has like the full first floor and then she rents out above, right?
Mm-hmm.
She fixes you a cup of tea, she brings you a scone or a biscuit, and instead of sitting in one of the other seats, she very purposefully sits you on the couch, sofa, whatever, settee, and sits next to you. So that she's almost barely touching, but not quite touching. Which would be horrendously forward, by the way. Horrendously forward.
He will do his best to not ignore it, but ignore it, if that makes sense.
Yes.
Right.
Do the best to not look as uncomfortable as he currently feels.
That's the one. Hopefully he's had a bit of practice.
How can I help you?
Give me a second. I don't really want to do this, but 6, 3. So that I can get a better read on her, I've just made an empathic sense roll of 16.
Currently, you are her absolute focus. And you totally feel that. And somehow it makes everything worse for you.
Just a helpful point for August. Each success you get against their social defense with empathic sense, I think, does give you a small bonus to social skills.
Does it?
Yeah.
Oh, that's nice.
I think so.
It's like, yeah, because if you know what people think, it's easy to manipulate them.
Brad, do you know how much the bonus is? Because I know how much she went above.
Sorry, what I was typing in there. What's the question?
+1 per success, it says.
So she gets a 1-step bonus per success?
Yeah.
So, and you had a 16? So you get 1. You're a lot closer to 2 than you would realize, but.
Oh, Brad, that's clever. Well done.
For for those of you who are possibly listening and giving August some time to gather himself, Brad rolled a 13 awareness, a 20 astral sight, and threw in a civil engineering specifically looking for any structural abnormalities that could indicate a hiding spot and got a 20 on it, which is pretty freaking good rolls.
Very good rolls and clever play.
Oh, I gotta find a reason to use some of these skills.
There is logic in what he said.
So, August, she's looking rather intently at you.
He will be nursing his cup of tea. You mentioned the last time we visited some letters. I don't suppose you were able to see the letters or keep them at all?
Do you have anything conversation, persuasion-y, like to add that bonus to see if you can sweet talk her into a better answer?
I do not appear to have conversation upon my list at the moment.
That was a suggestion. If you have another skill that might work, or we can always go with a straight charisma.
Oh, I get conversation in journeyman. Okay. It's going to have to be a straight charisma, I think.
But remember, you have a step bonus to it.
Mm-hmm.
Matter of fact, I'm actually going to give you 2 because she's definitely sweet on you.
Okay, so D8, D6. 9.
She smiles, and it's almost cartoonish the way she bats her eyes, trying to be coquettish, and fails fairly miserably at it. I might know something about some more letters if you were interested. And she leans in just that little bit more.
He will do his best not to flinch.
She puts her hand on his leg. Yeah. Yeah, there you go, Drew. She puts her hand. I mean, and this is exceptionally forward for the time period and things, but you two are alone. She goes, You do know that the letters were quite scandalous. Perhaps we could read one together. If I had such a thing.
They would certainly help with the case.
Smile happening. I'm just saying.
Mm-hmm. It would certainly help with the case if you did indeed happen to have found some letters, but I don't think it would be pertinent to read them together.
The smile fades rather quickly, and she withdraws her hand. I see. Such a shame.
If this goes,
I'm sure those letters will find their way to a nice newspaper.
The whole point is that we are trying to get this to go to a trial.
Letter flicks and Jill. Oh my god, that's hilarious.
And to not have the scandal leaked in such a way.
Well, the scandal doesn't harm me in the least. And if I had such letters, the newspapers would pay quite well for them, I guarantee you. Especially the more scandalous they are. And she literally like evil pouts. I'm not quite sure how one. There's probably a meme out there, but she like evil pouts.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna give August a minute to decide how he wants to deal with that. Going to the other two people, Weymont. It's
Yep.
you've now been around enough scenes of something bad happening that the effects of a recent death are there in the astral, but it's not something so awful, so bad that you find it magically worse than, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
It's
you
not.
can brace yourself. It's like, yes, someone died here recently, but not, oh God, what the freak happened here type of thing.
Yeah. I
Um,
get it.
I will say, Brad, such really lovely roles. So for Brad, you happen to realize basically that there's a hiding spot. And it's a very small hiding spot, but this is between some awareness and some of that civil engineering you got up there. This hiding spot has one little thing in it, and it's basically some numbers, but you're not totally sure off the top of your head what those numbers mean. They seem to be like aligned with, for you, what appears to be fairly random numbers. But there is 1, 2, 3, and the fourth line is incomplete. All the other ones have the same amount of numbers, if that makes sense. But the fourth line is missing the last number. And back to August.
Play a beep. You say it might not come back on you, but if people realise that you were the landlady to this CAD, do you not think that people will stop renting rooms from yourself?
Oh, he's not a cat. She was a vicious, lecherous, evil woman. I'm just a victim in all this. A victim who didn't get her last month's rent is making sure that she's going to be fine. I believe that whether August realizes it before or not, August probably does not like this woman. She's not, deep down, she's not a likable person.
No, I'm getting that vibe.
I mean, obviously, she's not been all that Heidi of it. She has some letters and she's going to sell them. And she doesn't care that it makes the young lady look worse. Matter of fact, the more apparently scandalous the letter is, the better she's going to get paid. Do you need another minute, August? Because I can bounce over to the other set.
Yes, please.
Absolutely. All right. Mac and Morgana are having a lovely tea. And because Mac wants to very much keep an eye, you guys are having it kind of on the outside of the building, one of the little tables on the sidewalk type of thing.
Sure. Sounds like a scene.
That way, because it would be much easier for you to see that way than inside the building, right?
Yeah.
So this young-ish child, if you had to guess 10, 11, maybe a smaller 12-year-old, grabs Morgana's parasol and runs with it.
I am on it.
Get
I have,
back here, you urchin.
Yeah,
Morgana will also be on it. She knows what's in that parasol.
I have,
I was going to
I
say.
have a parasol today. It's very sunny. You're
Yeah, I have-
welcome. I care about your skin even if you don't.
Morgana always has a parasol on her.
Remember,
That means she's armed.
I have danger sense against surprise. I have sprint, and I have athletics, and I am a huge ass troll. What do you want me to roll?
you can roll whichever you like.
All right, let's start with danger sense to see the kid coming in. Let's start with that.
I have to say, this is one brave urchin.
I was gonna say, and I'm a big
It's
troll
a
here.
very nice parasol.
On the danger sense, I got a 12,
Okay.
and then sprint changes my movement without a roll. I think.
Yeah.
Movement
I think so too.
is
We're gonna start with danger sense. You're a little surprised by the urchin, and your danger sense is tingling, but not about the urchin.
Oh, okay. The parasol can go. I'll make sure Morgana's not going to get stabbed in the back or something.
So basically, you start towards going after the parasol and the child. When you basically make I got up and I went 4 steps, and you're like, whoa, what the freak? And
Yeah.
that's when you turn around and notice the 3 guys heading over toward the table.
All right. I stand between Morgana and them and say, "State your business" in best bodyguard mode. And I use the keyword that I've pre-arranged with Morgana to say incoming or danger or heads up or whatever.
Yeah, because Morgana will have been heading in the direction of the urchin as well.
And probably made it even a little bit further without danger sense. So you are behind Mac, not severely.
Yeah.
But when you turn around, so you're staring at it's 2 humans and an orc. And it doesn't take long before you realize that they have basically equivalent of a club.
Okay.
One has like a pipe, 2 of them do. One has like a pipe. Excuse me, sorry. The other one has some sort of like bat, cricket bat, maybe something like that.
Okay.
So wooden stick.
Rolled a 13 on awareness.
Sorry?
I rolled a 13 on awareness to spot weapons and stuff on them, and I will get a very, very descriptive troll grin on my face as I punch one fist into my other hand and say, "Okay, boys, what's up?"
So the leader of the 2 doesn't seem to have a weapon in hand. You're pretty sure he has a weapon, though.
Yeah.
You're thinking maybe a knife, but it's concealed, and there's 3 of them, and you're trying to keep track of because the 2 start to fan out a little bit.
Yeah, I'm keeping between them and Morgana. What is
And they are purposely fanning out to make that hard.
I understand. I will dance with them as needed.
Morgana will draw her backup weapon from her snake bracelet, which is a short rapier. And will step to keep her back, keep close to Mac, and fight with him. But
so the guy says something along the lines of, "Look, we just want the purse. It's not worth a whole lot of stress."
I will. What is the etiquette between shooting his ass or bringing a knife to a gunfight? I don't know. As a player, like Victorian England, like
Brad, I would say that the truth is that that's perfectly legit in this time period.
Right. So, like, if somebody comes up and says, "I want your purse," to the person you're bodyguarding, it'd be very defensible for an aristocrat to say, "My bodyguard thrashed the guys with a gun or with a knife."
It's a little worse than that in certain respects. You're expecting someone's going to look into it.
Oh, all right.
How fun!
Morgana will just smile at the gentleman And so
Unless
you'd
Brad
have
wants
done.
to correct me. Or
I
Joel.
mean, they would probably investigate into it if it went the other direction. If it was an urchin going after an aristocrat and they brought a gun to the knife fight,
that might be a little more of a question.
then they would raise harumph and
But
that.
basically,
But the other
street
direction,
thugs
you're good.
and a lady,
Okay,
street thugs and a lady. No, they basically, yeah. If there's anything, it can be hand waved. Truthfully.
all right. So
Yeah.
in that case, what Mac will do is when he says, he wants to take the purse, I will step forward and say and growl, "Not on my watch," and I'm going to run him through with a saber.
And Morgana will say, "You'd have been better off with a sob story than a club," and will level her blade towards the nearest thug.
Initiative.
Because she's far from defenseless.
Well, I know that, but the street thugs assume. Look. This stuff's still very new, and most women work indeed defenseless. I mean, they assume Mac is a bodyguard, but they also assume 3 versus 1.
And I will, for role play, say to Morgana, "It is not a question of a lady's capabilities, just of a gentleman's privilege."
Let me show you both.
9 on initiative.
Dice. 6 on initiative.
Mac, you go first.
All right, I'm going to spend a karma point on my melee weapons attack, and that increases the number to 15. Is that a hit?
Yeah, with a raise.
Is in 1879, is it +2 like it is in Earthdawn?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so that means
except for certain firearms, which will get additional boosts.
Some firearms are a +3.
Like rifles, you get a +4 with each raise.
His normal damage step is 17. I don't have the table in front of me. What's 19?
22d6.
3d6? No.
22d6.
A 17.
Yeah, he's rather strong, and he has a forged saber.
A d20 plus 2d6 for step 19.
All right, so let me re-roll this. A d20 and 2d6. Okay. Okay, 20 on the 20, and then a 6 and a 3. Do you re-roll maxes in 1879?
Yeah.
So 29 to start with, and then another 20 is a 19, and the other d6 is a 5.
I think this man might be dead.
It'll kill me.
So
he got in a fight with a troll. What do you expect?
I mean, yeah, that was, to be fair, really, really dumb.
All right. That is a total of 53 of saber damage.
Holy moly!
Holy.
That was ridiculous rolls. Reroll the 20 and got a 19.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I guess he doesn't need to take his turn.
The important thing is I will growl at the other two.
That's the important thing. You just killed a man, but God damn it, I'm gonna get that growl in.
I have also swift kick since I beat initiative. Can I roll a swift kick on a second guy?
Why don't you just get him in a headlock?
I believe that you can, unless someone wants to correct me that I'm thinking wrong.
No, swift kick you could do. Actually, getting somebody into a headlock you wouldn't be able to do because that would be unarmed combat and that would be a separate action. But swift kick, yeah, you can absolutely do that.
All right, so let me roll that. Okay, it's the 2d8 on the to hit there. A 7 and a 6 is 13 on the swift kick.
That hits.
And then the boots and butt kicking are 2d6 damage. 6 is here. I rolled a 6, which I reroll, and a 4, which is 10, and then the 6 that's rerolled is another 6, and then a 1. So 13 plus 4 is 17 damage on the boots of butt kicking to the face.
Well, he grabs his
Well.
face and starts to run off. He is using his action to not be here. Morgana.
There's one remaining person. You had no idea how much of a mistake you've just made, do you?
Mostly because it's not his turn, he can't run away. But yes, there is one remaining person.
11 on a taunt on him.
Okay. That'll be any of his defenses.
So that's -1 to all his tests and his social defense per success I got, including the first. So
okay.
I will then use melee weapons on him with an 11.
That will hit.
And 8 damage.
It is his turn, and he will also leave.
I would like for role-playing purposes to yell to the orphan running away. You really just want to talk
to running away. The orphan is not running away. It's staring in horror and crying, and has dropped the parasol like on the ground.
I go over to him and I say, "You might want to make some better life choices." And I take the parasol and hand it back to Morgana.
If you're heading in that direction, Morgana will hand you a couple of shillings out of her purse to give to him.
The child is so shell-shocked that it doesn't even grasp the coins. It just sits there staring at the dead man, face ashen.
I will put the coins in his pocket, pat him on the head, and say, "Make better life choices."
You hear a very, very, very quiet "Dada."
Oh dear.
I have no problem coming back to Morgana.
Morgana will politely apologize to the cafe staff and see if they could send someone to fetch someone to deal with this.
The child has gone to the body and is standing over the body, clutching it. Well, I mean, the part it can clutch because it's all bloody and kind of cut damn near in half. You know, hey.
You know how it is. You know.
You know how it is when your father's been damn near cut in half. It's all good. It's fine. I'm sure that's not scarring in the least.
Yeah. Fine.
By the way, the cafe staff does look horrendously uncomfortable. Just so you know, in case you were worried, they look uncomfortable.
Morgana,
There's a lot of that going around.
I mean, wouldn't you?
What was that, Drew?
I said, Morgana, you may need to tip.
I was planning to.
Other people are staring too. No one's actually involving themselves in this, but they are indeed staring.
I mean, why would you involve yourself in this?
I'll come back to you guys. August, other people are making.
Step over this way until the police arrive. Morgana will say to Mac.
Today I make everyone uncomfortable. Mwahaha. August, how are you doing over there?
Ref, yeah, uncomfortable. Yay. But it's the player that fine. The character's uncomfortable. Just to clarify, you know.
I'm glad you clarified that.
As you know, he's the investigator.
No, I'm kidding. I only want to make the characters uncomfortable, not the actual players.
Yeah. Understood. Yeah. I did have something, and then I giggled.
Oh, I found a gift that describes the landlady. Oh wow, this is nice. I'm gonna put this in the chat. There's your little lover girl.
Yeah, thanks, Joe.
I mean, it's not actually that inaccurate. So just throw that out there.
I'm going Sweeney Todd, but hey, right. Sorry, August.
I feel like that was a good introduction to what happens when you piss off a troll.
To be fair, like I said before, that was really, really dumb.
To be fair, they've probably never taken on a troll before. Not probably going to again either. But you know, hey.
Well,
He's
one
not.
of them
Yeah,
certainly
well, he's not,
isn't.
yeah, you're saying they haven't taken on troll before. Sure, I can see that, but they still have eyes. Like, do you not see this guy? He's built like a freaking truck.
Wait, hold on though. In their defense, a lot of people make bad life choices. Two, if you've never taken on one, just being bigger, if there's three of you, I mean, they would not have expected that. Nobody expects the Spanish Inquisition either, but it's always simple.
Okay, but putting it on another point here, the guy has hands the size of your head.
In fairness, size does not necessarily mean ability to fight. Unfortunately,
probably
he
fucking
is a
slow.
soldier, so yeah, they lost
Not
on that
wearing
one.
a button that says "I'm a soldier" on him. I mean, come on.
Well, no, but he was very clearly a bodyguard, though. I just want to point that out.
Carrying a rapier, carrying a saber, so you know.
Yeah. Like no one is going to come out and tell me that wasn't completely daft.
Oh, I'm not saying it's not.
When we went when I went house hunting, right? Very, very often, the terms choices were made. All of them bad. Okay, so yeah.
Yes, this was very much a mistakes were made moment.
I would like to add a little role-playing accent to the scene, which is Morgana said that she wanted to riposte, and in front of the other patrons in the cafe, I'll turn to her and sheepishly apologize and just say, "I'm so sorry, milady. I should have pulled my punches more. It's hard because most people are so fragile."
The size of your head, man.
Morgana wanted to be saying that bit out loud. Morgana wanted to be stating her desire to practice her sword fighting out loud.
Yeah, I just want some more gossip in this particular neighborhood about what it's like to attack a troll.
All right, August. What are you doing?
Do I think that that she does actually have these letters, given that she's suggesting that she's going to sell them?
For what it's worth, I believe her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say in your shoes that she does seem pretty sure that she is. She's made it pretty clear she's going to sell the damn things.
Mm-hmm. Name your monetary price for these letters.
So you're asking her how much the letters are worth?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if we were more friendly, I'm sure my need would have been less, but quite a lot.
Everyone's quite a lot is different. What is your quite a lot?
Well, what's your offer? And there's no pretense of flirting with you at this point. It's like she's given that up and is now just trying to see what she can make.
Okay, so I've got some questions, Andy.
Yes,
Oh,
ma'am.
it's always just a question of price, Brad. It's always a question of price.
Mhm.
Guess what I've been listening to? Anyway,
Deep
so
Space Nine.
no. So how many days rent or weeks rent is she short on?
You wouldn't know. You would know how long he's been gone, but she doesn't seem like she's desperate enough in the fact that she's behind. She's probably already made up whatever she lost on him.
Right.
And
Okay.
yeah. Like there's a lot of factors that you just have no idea, like how many letters, how much was the paper paying. I mean, it sounds as if she's possibly kept more of the scandalous ones than what she's handed out already, which means she's somewhat, I don't want to say sophisticated, but she's smart enough to realize that you dole out the lower price stuff to get them hooked and then the higher price stuff later.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you definitely get a very calculated feel from her.
In other words, she's just awful.
Yep.
This is not the NPC that I wrote that is sympathetic. No. The orphan, well, currently now orphan, is sympathetic.
Well, he is
Because
now.
that it's an orphan, or now an orphan. It was probably told to take the carousel by said father, who is now very dead.
What happened to the other guy I kicked?
Sympathetic.
Is he alive? Or is
He ran
The
off.
man?
the one the third one
The
ran
one
off?
that you kicked ran off. The one that Morgana cut ran off. Those two both ran off. The
Okay,
only
but-
one that's there is the one that you very, very nearly sliced in half.
Yeah.
Like he has this lovely cut from about my neck meets my shoulders down, 3/4 of the way at an angle to the, that's the other side of you.
Yeah, I got you.
I mean,
And it
honestly,
takes
like,
a little while for them to get a Bobby in there, and then the Bobby has to call somebody else to cart it away.
yeah, like I would say, oh, you poor man, but then again, he did just attack someone who's like 8 feet tall and made of a mountain of muscle.
I didn't actually say that he was sympathetic either. I said that the now orphan is sympathetic. That man and the landlady, not sympathetic.
He's not much of anything.
Well,
I
right
have
now, he's a big blob that's causing the cart staff to go around him. It's very annoying to the drivers. That and the crying kid.
the etymology of basket case is during war when soldiers were chopped into pieces and they were sent back in baskets.
Yes.
That's period.
Yes.
Oh, no, generally they would cremate them. Less mass, cheaper to ship.
So, Waylon, just so I know party capabilities, can you record voices so we could blackmail this chick if you were there and had the equipment or the spell running or something like
The
that?
technology exists, but we don't have it.
Okay.
One, they don't
And
have it, and two, quite frankly, since he left without finishing paying the rent, she can basically claim that everything that belonged in the apartment's hers, and therefore she can sell it. I don't know
No,
that you can really blackmail her with this.
she seems to be the personality. I'm just talking this through as a player, but she seems the
Yeah.
personality type that is very. The reason she ruined the other girl's reputation is because it's important to her and she's a projector. So if we could find something that would put her in the bad light in the court of public opinion, that would be a sensitive spot for her. So like if we had her
What
voice,
I'm suggesting to you is that she would not consider this putting her in a bad light. She's just exposing that nasty woman, remember?
she can rationalize it. But
She,
Her
she
jealousy
is not,
murdering,
she is not a good human.
yeah, I get you. I get you. I'm just
Really.
thinking through angles. That's all.
her jealously
To be
murdering,
blackmailed, you have to have shame.
her jealously murdering her tenants might put her in a bad light.
So, out of character, August would like some ideas on what type of numbers. I would say the best number would be, I think, a middle class lifestyle is what, £8 a month or £8 a year, something like that. Brad, trying to remember what it said.
I don't know the numbers off the top of my head. I'd have to look it up. But my suggestion was inspect the merchandise first. Find out what get her to show you what you're actually buying before you put a number on the table.
Ah, I missed that because it came in before my questions. But yeah, thank you. That is a very good thought.
I think you get a tick in the box for Gigolo if you want to pick up that skill.
No, thank you.
I mean, you could, but you may have already surpassed that moment.
Yeah, that would have been if I'd have gone down the other route.
Yes.
Yeah, if you had been willing to read such scandalous letters with her.
Mm-hmm.
So, do you ask to see a letter or the letters or whatever?
Yeah, he'll. I would have to see the letters first before I can give you a considered offer.
I'll show you one. It's one of my favorites. It's the one that I would have read with you. And she goes back into what is very obviously, you can catch a glimpse of her bedroom.
Mm-hmm.
And rifles around, and well, actually, she didn't even have to rifle around. That one's on her nightstand. And she brings it out. And you can tell that this letter has been like, this is not and it was folded very sweetly and put in an envelope and then, read once, put back in an envelope. This has now been handled.
Yeah.
And there's something a little creepy about that, in all truth. Like, one, it's the letter that this woman wrote to this man when she apparently loved him. And he's now dead. And she's on trial for his murder, right? And this woman has obviously been reading this in her bedroom. You can take that for what you want.
Uh-huh.
And it's her favorite. So there's a little bit of, in my opinion, ick to that.
Mm-hmm.
And she hands it to you, and it is about 2 pages. It goes on to a third page. And just skimming through it without having like analysis to find out that, like, oh yes, this totally looks like her handwriting. It definitely sounds like a young woman in love, and she literally even refers to him as her husband in the letter. And she talks about the things that they had been up to and how much she misses him. And it, for the time period, it's scandalous.
Yeah.
Like it is carnal in language, and it's not hidden like, little apples of paradise. I mean, it's still somewhat period language, but it is not so hidden in its intent.
Okay. I do have eidetic memory.
Totally yeah. Oh, you can do that. Yeah, roll that for me. But you can totally if you want to memorize it, you can roll that. But you can totally see how if this hits the newspaper, if they already thought she was oh, sorry, I was right. Middle class maintenance is £8, but that's for the year, right?
Yeah.
See, I was close. I was on there. You can totally see how if they already think that she is a harlot of poor quality, right? That this would be really bad for her.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I would like an evidence analysis too after you do your eidetic memory.
Yeah, I was just going to ask if that was what you'd want from me. So the eidetic memory, I noticed that it says must have karma spent on it. That's fine, not a problem. Is that just 1 point of karma?
Yes.
It's just 1 point of karma.
Right. Okay. Just double checking.
Yeah, and basically how it works is you just look at the document, you're memorizing it, and then when you need to recall the details later, you roll eidetic memory to remember to see how much you recall.
And if
so
it's a
point in karma, and then you don't have to roll for that part until later. Gotcha.
Yep,
so
but
I thought you had to roll to memorize it, and then you had it memorized. But it's okay. That's fine.
Yeah, but
so
if also to point out, if it is a core or professional skill, the karma is optional. The karma required comes in if you're taking it as an optional or free skill.
And I believe if it's core, you can spend 2 points of karma on it if you want, because you get to roll the karma you spend to activate it. It's like the old karma skills in Earthdawn.
Yeah. Well, it is a core, but I got a 20 on the roll to memorize that particular letter.
You are very sure you remember this thing. It is locked in your memory.
Yeah, whether I want it to be or not, but hey ho.
Great.
Again, there's a little bit of cringe to it, but from what you can read in this letter, she seemed very enamored. We'll say that.
Mm-hmm.
And then evidence analysis?
18.
18. There's no date on it, which is of interest to you, and I will give you this because one, your roll is really high. Without a date, is this early in the relationship? Because it sounds to you from what you read that it's early. Is this late? Like that for evidence, the timing matters.
Yeah.
Right? Like if this was late in the relationship after he's blackmailing her, it would seem weird and odd and maybe right. But if it's early in the relationship, it makes it even more sympathetic to her and the fact that obviously she was very in love, right? Mm-hmm. So the fact that it's not dated is problematic for either side of the defense, right? Because they don't know when this was written in the timeline of events. You suspect from how it sounds and what you already know, or what you guys are already thinking, which is that she did truly love him. But this was probably early on. This is part of what he was using to blackmail her. And yes, very, very clearly in your mind, if this got out into the press, it would be very bad for her. Because there is no doubt in your mind after looking at that letter that she crossed the polite societal bounds and did more than hold hands.
Are all the letters undated like this one?
She actually looks a little bit curious at this question, as if it's not something that has dawned on her to think about. And then that shrewdness comes back. What's it matter to you?
Because it will prove guilt or innocence either way.
And she just shrugs. Buy him and find out.
This woman may be a ghoul.
Yeah, I already don't like her for multiple reasons.
Again,
She's at least
But
not
you know,
really like
not written as a sympathetic character.
he is
Yes, yes, we know.
not everybody in the world is sympathetic.
Yeah, it would be nice to meet some of those.
You did. You killed somebody, and now there's an orphan. There's a very sympathetic orphan crying over a dead body. Go outside. You'll find them. They're
True, they were sympathetic.
technically, if you think about it, if things go a certain way with your investigation and how you guys feel it's going, the woman who wrote that letter is sympathetic. Maybe
So
not
sympathetic
bright.
characters are either dead or traumatized. Right. Because that makes it better.
I'm trying to work out, and I'm trying to decide if, because I know Joel's put in the chat that £5 would be a fortune for her. I'm trying to figure out if I
Can I make a
start off
suggestion?
at lower than that, whether she'd, basically just kick me out on me, or whether
Can I
she'd
make
be
a
willing to
suggestion?
entertain that. Absolutely.
You could try telling her that the type of money that you would offer you don't keep on hand, or even basically point out that the barrister or Morgana have the purse strings, which could buy you some time to talk to the rest of your group. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Because £8 is a lot of money. 1 second. Sorry, slaying the dragon. Well,
right.
not really slaying, just telling him to be quiet.
Sounds
But
a
that type
bit
of
like
money
a
is not something
euphemism.
that a lot of people would carry on hand. Does that make sense? So
Yeah. Oh no,
your character
absolutely.
might consider a exit stage left to regroup and reconsider.
Mm-hmm. And because I'm not the social character in this group, I don't have those ones yet. However, he will do his best to make a graceful exit without having the talent. He will thank her for letting him read, and so that he could assess their worth. However, I do not habitually carry a large amount of funds with me, so I would need to go and converse with the lawyer to see if he would be willing to release the funds to you.
She seems disgruntled, but does, again, because that's a lot of money to have on hand. Probably what she wants is a lot of money to have on hand. And she'll basically yell upstairs that it's time to leave and almost shoo all three of you out, because this is not how she wanted it to go anyhow.
Mm-hmm.
And with that, I will let you guys all get back together and answer all the questions about why they're hauling a dead body off. And I'm going to take a 10-minute recess because apparently Dragon would like outside.
Okay, I'll have some questions from stuff because my mic wasn't working earlier, but go ahead and take care of the dragon first.
Okay. Yeah, I figure you have questions about that piece of paper with the numbers.
Yeah. So yeah, but yeah, go ahead and deal with the pups.
And also, I could use that 10 minutes to go and get some scones.
That sounds an excellent plan. I like it.
Scones,
well,
yummy.
whilst I was waiting, I had some cake.
Oh.
Stocking.
Birthday
I'm going to go and
cake.
get some scones. Birthday cake.
Well, it was your
Yeah.
birthday this week, wasn't it? Happy birthday.
Yes.
Happy
Thank you.
birthday.
I am
Wait.
now 40.
Oh,
Happy birthday, dude.
Youngster. You youngster.
youngster.
Well, you are now 10 times Sonny's age because he is 4.
Oh.
His birthday was on Tuesday. Yeah, you're trying to bump the mic because you heard me talking about you. What are you doing? You got birthday cake treats, don't you?
What?
Damn.
You stared at me. What? Yeah, you heard me say treat. Okay, there you go. His treats are peanut butter, carob, and vanilla flavored.
What's a carob?
I don't know.
It's like fake chocolate.
Yeah, it's a nut type thing that tastes something like chocolate.
Yeah.
It's one of the sort of standard.
It's what dog chocolate is made out of, and cheap chocolate in things like advent calendars.
Is often bolstered with carob.
Interesting.
Do you like Asian pears?
I think they're all right.
To me, it's like 2/3 pear, 1/3 apple. I made a little Asian pear tart from a friend has an orchard, and she brought some over. I just put the picture in chat.
Neat. Almost looks like a breakfast cereal bar.
Yeah, it's like a flaky pastry crust and little cinnamon and sugar and vanilla, and then the pears. They're like in this delicate sauce inside. It's pretty yummy. But only if you like Asian pears. So.
I like Asian pears.
Right, I'm just going to go and I'll be on mute for a bit, but I can still hear.
So, are we going to go in and burgle the bedroom? Is that the next step?
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Like absolutely.
I assume you are not going to burn down the boarding house.
I mean, not intentionally.
I'm not sure the woman quite deserves that.
I think Karma's a bitch, and she's entitled to some circulation.
Unless she did it out of jealousy, because he was
Well, real
sleeping with a
quick, while
younger
we
woman.
have the break, I'm going to throw in the quick commercial for us that we have the Kickstarter going on now for the Samsut campaign for anybody who's listening in. So if you're interested in 1879, go check it out. I put the link in the chat. Just to do the necessary stuff to get that funded.
Fair. I'm very excited that Ross and Carol and what's the daughter's name are coming out next weekend. Can't wait to see them.
What? You're trying to lick my hand? I don't have food on my hand. Why are you trying to lick it?
Maybe you do have food. Maybe you're just hiding it. Could be hiding it.
What? What are you doing?
Dogs rock.
Okay.
So yes, if you wanted me to make any battle maps for you, I could absolutely do that thing because I'm quite enjoying myself doing this.
Excellent.
Excellent. I may throw some work your direction. Right, back in a month.
Sonny, what? What do you want? You're climbing up on top of me here.
You're not paying enough attention to your dog?
No, it's like
There's never enough
he's like trying to
attention.
claw his way up here.
So I don't know that Dragon had to go out so much as he was jealous because everybody else is outside and Galvanic was outside, and we're a jealous hose piece. So I brought Gotti in so he could like at least have his buddy in the house.
Okay.
Doing our treat. You just want the treats. That's all you're doing.
They want love, affection, and the treats. Just saying.
Fair.
Dogs. They know how to manipulate you.
They have the eyes of doom.
At least you know cats are up to it.
Well, these are his birthday cake stuff, so, he's entitled to it.
Exactly.
So, questions that I should cover.
Well, hang on. I get Mythras and Joel are out.
Oh, that's fine for me.
They need a minute to get back.
All good.
I put in the commercial for the Kickstarter while you were away, so.
Good, because I want to see that.
We're very close. We're less than 800 away from the funding goal.
Oh, that's awesome.
And it seems a bit distance off now, but if we could hit 10K, we do have maps for free.
See, I want maps. But I have a map thing. I really do. I like maps.
Well, I was saying to Joel there that, and Brad, that if you want battle maps, I am enjoying myself doing this. Making this map.
I'm going to have to figure out maps for the Gen Con scenario for next year. Like I said, that one I want to have take place, actually, the adventure taking place on a train. So I need to make maps of rail cars.
You want to make maps of rail cars? Phew, I can do that. That's easy. You just make one car and then duplicate it a couple times.
Well, they'll be set up differently.
Well, of course, but you can change the insides of it. I'm talking about the shape of the car.
Oh, yeah. No, that part I got.
So sorry, I hate to bring things back to the game we're playing, but like, is it like we have to do the burglary at night and then we'd have to get her out of the bedroom or knock her out? Do we have something that would do that besides extreme prejudice that would injure her?
Well, I can stun her.
I would say you don't technically have to do it at night, but you do have to get her out of the house.
Get her out of the house or knock her out.
And
technically,
I can do some illusions.
All right, so we can fake a letter. August is like, I've been thinking about things. I'm very I can be nervous when, but I've decided I'd like to meet you, take you to dinner at the blah, 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 and then send her off to a fancy restaurant. And while she's out of the house, we burgle it.
Could do. Is that what we're in the mood for?
Jilting an evil woman and leaving her socially embarrassed at a fancy restaurant while taking the ill-gotten gains she's misusing.
Sounds about right.
Well, it just depends on if August is willing to go through with that.
He doesn't have to be there. He just has to write the letter. Or have anyone else write the letter, and she's never seen his handwriting. Heavy on innuendo, light on commitment.
Well, she wouldn't go. I mean, I don't think she'd probably go walk off herself. She'd expect to be picked up.
So send a carriage.
It's improper yeah, but then we're gonna spend money on the carriage.
I mean, how much could a carriage possibly be?
Or we could pay her some money rather than having to burgle her. Just say it.
It is true that you do have all the money in the world.
Well, the other angle on this is we could go to the lawyer that's doing the defense because it's a wealthy family, and say, do you want to, we have a way to acquire the letters through money. Do you want them back for this price tag? And just let them pick.
I can just put in an expenses claim.
Alternatively, I didn't think we'd actually discussed it in character yet.
Yeah, we had.
I think that with everybody back, it is time to discuss it in character.
Yeah, we were prepping to do that
Yeah,
as
I
you
think
guys were getting back here.
Yeah, sorry, we were getting scones.
Let's
Important thing.
let's go to a different cafe without so
You
much
are not
blood.
allowed to get scones unless you give some to the GM. New rule.
Yeah, fair.
I'll send you a picture.
Sad, but I will accept a picture.
Awesome. Let me just finish prepping them, and then I'll take a picture and send a picture to you.
This is how sad the GM's life is. I now accept pictures of the baked goods.
Yeah. So let's go to a different cafe without quite so much
Well,
blood
give
and gore.
him a second here to settle it.
Yeah, give us a moment. We're still sorting things down here, over here.
I mean, I can talk and prep scones, but you know.
You never rush a lady. That's wrong.
I'm only a lady in the FCA. I have a piece of paper that tells me, that says so.
Okay, fine, Sonny. One more. I'm not gonna give you no more after this because it's gonna spoil your dinner. Sit. Sit down. Sit down. 1, 2, 3. Good boy. Okay, no more till dinner. Don't give me that look. Yeah, I hear you smacking your lips. No more till dinner.
You get him told, Brad.
But Dad, I want more. He seems to say.
That's basically the look he's given me.
Yeah. The cats do it to us too.
He does at least do tricks when he gets his treats. I'll throw him and he catches them midair.
Nice.
Get that to you, Snuggle. There you go.
Nearly done. Yay. Well, hello, fast.
See, we know this is an authentic game because baking has to happen. We're gonna have dog break and we're gonna have bake. Somebody once was talking to me about some of the play where they do like they edit them and whereas they're not scripted, you know what I mean? But they do all the editing and all that. And I'm like, no. What I run is true traditional real life gaming. Where we say the things we shouldn't have said. And nobody edits it out. And we go off on the tangents like real games. It's awesome.
Fair.
Where we are now so sad because everyone's online rather than in person, where we have to have pictures of scones.
Scones
In real life,
incoming.
the important part here is in real life there would have been real scones.
Absolutely.
Here's what I was looking for earlier when we were talking about rail cars. I have through some of my chat stuff that I follow otherwise, I have found some old layouts of rail cars, like actual sketches of them.
That's cool.
Scone pictures have been put in the chat too, Andy.
Those are awesome. I like dreams. All right. So we're all back together. The characters are all back together.
We find a
Apparently,
cafe that's a
what is-
little less
different
corpsey.
cafe, and
So
a different,
what-
less corpsey cafe. Less crying, newly orphaned child cafe.
Yeah, what is the scene that we walk out to?
You guys walk out to a police officer and some people dragging away a body and a small urchin crying, sobbing, close to hysterical.
Okay.
And a whole bunch of people pretending that they see none of it, including
Naturally.
Mac and Morgana.
And I'm assuming we got some blood splatter on Mac.
No, I clean up.
There is no way for you to get that out of your clothing. I'm just saying, at the cafe.
That's fine. I would have done what tidy up I need to do. And those scones.
You would do the best you can. Your sword is clean. I promise that. You would take very good care of your sword. It's very clean. But when they get close enough, someone's going to notice some specks of blood somewhere.
Gotcha. Fair.
We just
I mean,
can't
you
with
literally
you
cut
anywhere,
a man
can
almost
we?
in half. You cut a man almost in half. Like,
Well,
there was
we
blood.
can take him. We can take
we-
him somewhere.
we
We just
were
need to take
away.
him back to apologise.
We were away
I'd-
for like
I'd say we
15
can't.
minutes.
I'd say we can't take him anywhere. We can't leave him anywhere.
He wasn't the one who caused offence, says Morgana.
I'm with Weymont. I was gone for 15 minutes. What the
minutes.
Do you guys ever play Dragon Age?
Yes.
Do you remember
Love it.
when Shale the Golem is in that one village, and then there's this he hates birds, she hates birds, and then you hear this cluck 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 cluck, and then she just shrugs. That's my troll.
Yep. She's also a great character, by the way.
Oh my god, I love that character. Shale is awesome.
Dragon
Yes,
Age is
Morgana
one of
will-
the few games that I actually have finished. Like the first one, 1.5 to finish. Most games I get so squirrely with side quests, I never actually get far. But Dragon Age I finished. Except for Inquisition. I haven't finished that one. I don't know.
Yeah.
Didn't feel the same.
I stopped at that Dragon Age. I don't know which one it was, but I like the early ones.
All right. So you're all like, we were gone for 20 minutes. What happened? And Mac just shrugs at you. And Morgana's like, to be fair, we didn't start none. The British
Well-
lady version of we didn't start none.
You certainly finished it.
I will
That's why
give
Mac
you-
joined our little company.
I'm going to take Nigel aside and say I don't think we should leave them alone.
Spike in local orphans has increased twofold.
Let's find somewhere quiet to talk, and we can go over what happened on all
Right,
fronts.
right.
Oh,
Of course.
As we're moving, I did have other questions just from stuff not that I have to pose to anybody, but just about the information before we left. So where did I find the paper exactly? You said it was a hiding spot, but didn't say where.
Basically, there's you realize that one of the base trim boards wasn't quite right. Like someone had, like it should be all one smooth board, but someone had obviously either done a shitty job of measuring, because that's not where a break in the board should be, or that board was replaced there or something, and you kind of tap at it with your foot and notice that it's not nailed in properly. And it's very easy to kind of pull back the rest of the way. And lo and behold, the very small space between the floor and where the plaster would start, there is the piece of paper.
What room was it in?
It was in his bedroom. Because you guys were up in his apartment.
Okay.
So it was in his room, in his bedroom. And as far as you can tell, there are 4 lines. The first one has 5 numbers, second one has 5 numbers, third has 5 numbers, the fourth one has 4 numbers.
So 5, 5, 5, 4. Maybe he ran out of writing. Maybe he wasn't able to finish it or something.
Do you want to do some sort of evidence analysis on it?
I have mathematics. I was going to roll that, but I figured I'd do that once we get to the
Mathematics.
cafe. Yeah,
I
I
will
do
accept
that.
representation.
Yeah, I was figuring I'd
You
do
can
that once we
also
got to the cafe and we were
yeah.
all like talking. Like I said, this was just information that I didn't have a chance to ask because my mic wasn't working at the time.
No, that's fine. What I'm
Is
saying is that mathematics is acceptable. It's maybe not the best skill, but I can see it.
Is it a magic cube? The other rows like magic cubes, so you can fill in the final number.
What, you think he was playing Sudoku?
Something.
He's doing it wrong. That is not how Sudoku works.
Only got a 7 on mathematics.
You're pretty sure that the first 3 numbers are dates in each of the 5 lines, 4 lines. 5
Sorry, could you
numbers
say that again? The first numbers are what?
are a date, month,
A
date,
date.
year.
Right.
So month, date, year, number, month, date, year, number, month, date, year, number, month, date, year, number. Missing the last number.
So there's the 3 numbers for the date, and then there's 2 numbers after that, except for the last row where there's only 1 number. What's the timeline compared to all this investigation unfolding?
So
I got 14.
August, 14 on
I got
evidence.
14 evidence.
Those dates
Yeah, that.
jog in your memory quite easily as the dates of his supposed attacks of poisoning.
Nice. Are the last 2 numbers like an amount of like a chemist's result or a blood test kind of thing? Or doses?
No, but I will give August this, especially if Morgana may hint at what she wrote in the chat.
We're going to potentially, maybe he was recording dosages.
August,
Yeah,
you
the
can
magazine
totally
recommended it.
You can totally believe that the next number after the date is a dosage, but you're still not totally sure what the last number is. And the last number is just missing still on the 4th line.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Is it a reasonable time to recovery from a dose of arsenic? The last number? Like if he was tracking his tolerance and buildup?
You're not sure, but you don't think so. It doesn't feel like it's a time.
Is there
Did we figure out where he was getting this stuff from?
No.
We're still not certain on that one. Okay, so
Well, I mean,
now going off of that, if go with the last sequence of numbers, if we assume that that's the dosage, does that seem to be consistent with the dosage he would have taken from the autopsy report?
That is a very good question. Does anybody have some physician-y type skill, medicine type skill?
I do have physician.
I thought you did.
I would like to roll it.
Yeah, absolutely. You can both roll. Everybody rolls.
I got a 9 on physician.
Okay.
I got a 9 on physician as well.
Yeah. It could very easily be that with the numbers on the autopsy report that date how much he took. Still not sure about that last number. Anybody have law?
I've got knowledge law.
Roll that knowledge law.
Knowledge finance, does that help?
No. But you can roll it. Let's see what happens. Be like, I know how much you paid for that shit.
8 on a knowledge law.
Whereas you agree that this seems to be him recording his dosages and still not sure what that last number is about.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's just some numbers, it would be hard to prove, if that makes sense.
22 on knowledge finance, bit of a waste.
Nice.
On the knowledge finance, you're not even sure how much he paid for that shit. Yeah.
Is the way the numbers work out something like he was doing his doses going down, and then the last one was the fatal one, so he never recorded the last number?
That's very likely.
That seems to
Yeah.
be the implication, but we don't know what the last number was.
Possibly days he felt ill.
You don't know that you feel like it was the time, but you believe you're on the right track. What if it's not a time, but how bad he felt or how quickly,
Oh, it's like a
like-
pain scale, like 1 to 10 pain scale.
pain scale, something like that, possibly. Like,
Sim-
I'm doing this and I need the attention, but maybe I'm not actually trying to kill myself. How close can I get to the line?
Is arsenic addictive, or is it like a psychological thing that he was just like, he didn't get a high off of it, but he had the gambler's sort of push it as hard as I can thing? Is that consistent with
Possibly, or just that from what you understand, he put himself in the hospital almost killing himself before. But that woman was maybe less sheltered, maybe less, you haven't interviewed her yet.
Yeah,
I mean, he would not get a high from it, and it would have been painful.
yeah,
It was not a pleasant experience.
yeah. Isn't that it's like the flu or something?
A lot of them, it was earlier dismissed as some sort of flu stomach ailment. I mean, people died of cholera back then,
Yeah. So this could be useful for the puzzle and finding maybe the true killer, but it's not something that will be admissible in court to help the girl.
We've done quite a lot of.
It would be very circumstantial, but I don't know that it would prove that anyone else was his killer. I
At least
mean, if
not
it
on
looks
its own. If we can find other evidence that corroborates with it, it might help with that.
it could possibly, but it wouldn't make a lot of sense that someone else was recording the dosage
Does the
and leaving it
handwriting
in his bedroom.
does the handwriting match his, given the eidetic memory of the, what do we have, the girl's handwriting? Do we have a sample of the guy's handwriting?
Nope. She burnt
Other
all
than
her
the numbers.
because if she got caught with them, she would be in severe trouble. He kept all hers because he's not a nice human.
Yeah.
Well, wait. He would have had to sign to get his checks, wouldn't he?
Possibly, but you wouldn't have been asked to look at anything like that. So.
No, we wouldn't have it with us, but we could go find a sample of his handwriting.
Could you find a sample of his handwriting? Absolutely.
Yeah, over at the warehouse. I mean, it should be there. That might be worth a tick the box. Do you guys want to, as I see it, we have 3 things branching, and I hate to be organized, but just kind of how my head works. One option is we find out a source of money to see if the wealthy family will reimburse, and we go through and pay the bribe to the evil witch to
Well,
get
hang
the
on, because
letter.
I don't think we've even discussed that in character yet.
Oh, I'll hush. Sorry.
So this was mostly music of Brad's character as you go to wherever you're going, away from the dead body and crying orphan. So you are now someplace in a spot where there's not a lot of listening ears for you guys to discuss the. And then what happened, and why is there a dead body and an orphan crying? And by the way, what did you find?
Yeah. I will relate that the child stole my parasol.
So you murdered his father.
While we were briefly distracted from the parasol heading one way, 3 gentlemen, armed gentlemen, threatened me for my purse. Mac refused them.
I see. Okay. That's less horrifying.
Maybe next time we try and take them alive, Mac.
It's hard to pull punches, and I shrug.
Just because something's hard doesn't mean it's not worth doing.
A saber is probably not the best weapon for taking prisoners.
I believe you just roll it if it's a core skill. I think it's in the matter of how you memorize it. You didn't have to roll it. You roll it when you want to recall it.
Yeah.
You had already rolled it and did so good. I will give you I'll give you 2 raises on your recall.
A 2-step raise.
Yes, 2 steps. Sorry. I said raises.
Thank you.
I meant.
No, that's fine. That's why I was clarifying. Because basically my plan is to, while they're discussing what happened outside with the lovable street starfish, I'm going to take out my notepad and basically recreate the letter, because I also have forgery.
Ah, very nice. I will say that you blush as you rewrite parts of it, but yes,
Well,
you can.
yeah, probably.
Do that. Let's see your roll and how good you do.
Okay, so 2d10 plus. For the magnetic memory. Not quite as good on the recall, only a 15. And then for the forgery, I can't spend karma on optional skills, can I? Unless it says I have to.
I
I
believe
thought
you
we
may
said
not.
we could. I think we said we could now.
Oh, you can?
Nice.
Cool.
I
I
think
like
we'd
that.
said that last time we were discussing
Yeah,
it.
I'm good with that. I think it's your karma. You spend it how it makes you happy. But if anyone's
actually
listening
couldn't
and like
remember.
technical rules, I don't think so.
I honestly couldn't remember, so I always like to check. But thank you.
You're
I will now
peach.
roll. I will now roll my forgery roll. 7, 8, 11. Ooh, and a tick.
Oh yes, I should take Astral Sight. Again.
So yes, while everybody else is discussing things, August will be listening, but he will basically be attempting to recreate said letter
Anna?
on his notepad.
Morgana, roll me a perception.
Who was that
Perception or
for?
awareness?
I don't care. Whichever. Whatever makes you happy.
Well, I will roll awareness because it's slightly better.
Well, it's for Morgana to roll, not for August.
Oh, right, sorry.
It's okay.
Oh no. Morgana will roll perception because she doesn't get awareness until journeyman.
Oof, that
Ooh.
sucks.
On the other hand, a 20.
A 20?
Yeah,
Well, the
D12.
discussion is started.
Yeah,
Sorry. You said a 20, right?
yeah, 20.
You are almost painfully aware of how red and uncomfortable in general August seems to be as he's writing out whatever the heck he's writing out over there.
Yay.
I felt like August really needed Morgana to notice that. I really did.
Absolutely.
Totally.
Absolutely.
August is your pen name, Barbara Cartland.
Now, she always stopped at the bedroom door.
Wouldn't it be Julie Cooper?
Yeah, Julie Cooper. Morgana will resist making a comment at the moment, but we'll notice.
With all
We'll do
this
our best to make it look obvious that she didn't.
with all this information sharing, while they've shown the numbers and junk, my impression, Andy, is that arsenic is so prevalent and available that something like going back to these dates and then going and seeing if an apothecary that lived near the boarding house sold the CAD arsenic products a day or two before this. He might have just had a stash of it, or he might have, like, it's way too fuzzy to find evidence, collaborating evidence to clear the girl. Is that correct?
It would be hard because here's the thing. One, do they remember selling it because they sell it all the time? What she bought, she used her actual name. There's probably very little hope that he would have used his actual name.
Well, and it would have to be the dye-free version, which would be unusual.
You can try, and you never know. You could get lucky and someone has a very good memory.
Yeah.
But it's
I think
not something that would necessarily stick out.
Yeah, I just wanted to not leave the stone unturned. I agree there are higher priorities, but I wanted to at least float the question. Thank you.
While they're sort of examining the numbers and doing that, the Ugly Girl papers are beauty suggestions. Does it have a set of suggestions about how you record your arsenic dosage? Because maybe he's just copying something from that.
That's clever.
All right. Sorry. Did somebody ask me a specific question and I missed it?
Yeah, I was asking if does the Ugly Girl papers have any notes on how one should record the arsenic you're using? Because he was talking about safety and leaving notes and that. Does it have anything about how you note down, how you should note down your dosage so you can keep track of things? Because you might have been copying from that.
There's a lot about dosages in that magazine, but not about how to track them. It's different ones, like for doing this, you should use this dose with this much water, simmer for how long, that type of stuff. Or you should take this amount if you're trying for. And matter of fact, if Nigel and or Mac did some physician stuff, they would probably be a little bit aghast at how very little the dosages seem, especially the ones where you're not just putting it on your skin, the ones where you're actually intaking it. Don't mention anything as compared to a body weight. By the way, that's part of what.
Yikes. So he might have had more tolerance just because he's a larger man than most petite Victorian women.
And even though men did do this as well, if there's no dosages, and quite frankly, he was, as far as you know, he was an avid user. Like, this was not new to him. I mean, Years ago, he put himself in the hospital, mind you, but he didn't stop using even after that.
Hmm.
So yeah, I mean, being an avid user, he easily could have a higher tolerance for it than most people, let alone a woman who's half to 75% his size. So what do you guys want to do?
Once August has finished forging this letter in his notebook, he will, somewhat red-faced, because, you know, blushing and all that, and it never goes away, and he's vaguely embarrassed by it all, because quite frankly, you know, he's only, you know, human. He will, this was the letter that the landlady showed me. She will not part with them unless we spend money.
Money can be spent. May I?
He must.
Morgana will have a read of the letter. At least raise an eyebrow at it. She might even go a little red herself. She's only young. Well, that's candid.
Yeah, candid for the time period would be a nice way of putting it.
I have recreated the letter as best I can, including the handwriting. So
When Mac glances over it, he says, "Wow, she was limber."
That's no way to talk about a lady, and not particularly one who's in as much peril as she is, Morgana will say, in a slightly put on prim tone.
I noticed there's no date.
that was one of the first things I noticed. I did ask the question if all the others are dated, to which she replied, "Well, you'll have to buy them to find out."
How much was she asking?
She was suggesting that she was going to sell them to the newspapers, so she didn't actually give me a price, did she, Andy? We were just sort of speculating.
No, but you definitely have the opinion that she wants a lot for them. And
She didn't specify.
In all truth, depending on how many they are, the newspapers will totally pay her top penny to be the exclusive owner of said letters.
Yeah.
Because Scandal, like, look, they didn't have soap operas. This is as good as they got.
Yep.
The astral traces didn't show any like Fae feeding on negative energy or any of that nonsense this time, correct?
No, it did not.
This is pure human greed, evil, and Schadenfreude.
Yeah.
Well,
I put into chat my notes as to what I see as the follow-up items. Does anyone have anything to add to that?
no, I was just going to say, it strikes me as this landlady has a potential motive, and every piece of evidence she has that makes Amelia look more guilty makes her look less guilty.
Yeah, if she's the murderer, she's framing someone else so that the police or investigators stop looking. I mean, that's just standard
And
manipulation.
she may be trying to make a lot of money off something which has come to a bad end from her point of view.
Well, what
It's a
the
thought which
scenario?
may be colored by me not liking the woman, but
Yeah, the scenario I see is she had a thing for the CAD. She found out the CAD had a gal. She decided she was going to kill the CAD for, the impropriety of not falling for her.
or just
So
make him ill so he couldn't see anyone else.
yeah, there's some combination there of accidental or maybe deliberate overdosing with the arsenic, frame the girl for it, and make money in the process. I mean, it's a disgusting murder with incentive, but we don't have proof thereof. I think
Oh,
the real first question is, do you want to do one or two, or do you want to go follow up with the fiance for more information before we go back to one or two and decide whether to pay
I
or whether to burgle?
I think following with the fiance, because walking away and having a little think about the money would seem more plausible.
Yeah, I agree. Let's do that then.
I did suggest to her that I didn't habitually carry that amount of funds on me, so I was going to go and see, have a word with others to see if I could,
Flashbacking.
I also, it's not on to that level on my follow-up list, but my mind is thinking there are so many people this CAD may have manipulated and pissed off that we don't want to fall for the obvious, because she might just be awful but innocent of the murder.
It's true.
He had plenty of people that would want him dead.
He was a grade A cat.
And there is always the possibility that it might not even be a murder. He might have just, overdosed.
I was thinking that while we're paying her, it might be worth probing, seeing if she reacts in a manner of guilt.
Well,
You're gonna have to talk to her if we intend to pay her.
I thought we agreed the primary priority was to save the girl, in which case funding and purchasing or burgling the letters is important. And I agree the timing of this gives us a window to go check with the fiancé. So
if she realizes the letters are missing and she's guilty, she may just vanish. Her being findable and provable in court that she was the one who did everything will do a lot more for Amelia's reputation than simply getting her off.
Yeah, there's good.
I get what you're saying, but at the same time, you don't want to accuse someone who's actually innocent, no matter how terrible they are.
Agree.
I was thinking while we were buying it, we can make suggestions and see how she reacts.
I mean, of course.
On a practical level, in terms of moving the story forward, it sounds like we have a window in time for that to simmer a bit while we go talk to the fiance.
Yeah. No, yes, I say. Well, yes, I was being in character mostly, so we should let her stew a little bit before we turn up with an offer. Morgana will examine her purse. It's a good thing this didn't get taken from me, she will say to Mac with a smile.
Happy to be of service.
Is £5 going to seem an excessive opening offer or reasonable? I'm not entirely sure how much would be right for this woman.
Does anyone have bribery?
No. But
no.
From a financial perspective, I think you should start off low and see how high she's expecting.
A couple of pounds then to begin with?
This would be a good place to roll that financial.
Yep.
We found a spot for it.
Yep.
Try not to roll the 2.
Yep. I did not roll a 2.
Okay.
Sadly for you.
Like
Because
you're
it's
old.
D8s again, and you know what they're like.
Oh gosh darn D8s.
So, yeah. And in point of fact, I actually rolled a
Point of
14.
fact, I'm throwing all your D8s in the river. That's fine. 14. So
Yes.
it's hard, but without knowing how many there are, you do have some general ideas of this is a heck of a story that they can keep running until the trial, during the trial, and after the trial. So it is a hot tip. 10 years from now, meh, whatever. Right now, this, right?
Yeah.
She could easily make 8 to 16 pounds, depending on how. And after seeing that letter, yeah, apparently these are like they would have some of these would have to be edited to even put in the paper,
Right.
which is even more salacious, really.
But the thing is, it depends on how good her financial skills are. It might be that she doesn't.
Exactly.
It might be
So
that she just doesn't know
there are,
what she has.
she knows they're of value because she's obviously sold a few because some stuff's already been in the paper.
Hmm.
But without knowing how many and without knowing how good she is, you just know in your head you could get 8 to 16 for them pretty easy. Now,
Yep.
is she that smart? Is she that savvy? Is she only talking to one paper, or does she know to go to different ones? You know what I mean? Like, does she know how to market it? She's not nice, but you don't know that she's that savvy,
All right.
right?
All right, Morgana. Here's what you do. Right. Go in and tell her that you are going to give her, say, well, first off, ask how many papers there are. Then tell her that you will give her about, let's see, £50 for one,
Shillings, yeah.
right?
I will say right now, you don't want to offer a half a pound per, because remember, they had a relationship for a few years. So if she wrote a letter every, even once a month, that's like 24 letters.
Right. Okay. If there's 24 letters, it would have to be a smaller amount.
Right.
Just
And that's
say
she
that
only
she.
wrote once a month. And as in love as she was, yeah, without knowing, just she actually might be better off with a lump sum, but
I
know that,
could
yeah,
offer her a florin per letter. That's 2 shillings.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. A florin per letter then. So start off with a low amount like that, and then once she says yes, you say, okay, give me 24 of them.
I like that approach for a couple of reasons. And one of the
I'm gonna be
reasons I like it is if she has the letter that clears the girl because he was a user, she would keep using, she'd want to sell all the letters because she'd get her per.
You also want all the letters because if you let her pick and choose which letters, she's still going to sell the other ones to the papers. And if you're trying to, she's already put a few out, and they weren't nearly as bad as the one that August memorized. Although it was apparently one of her favorites, which still makes August squicky on the inside.
Yeah, it does.
But yeah, that is a standard bartering tactic. Just get her as low as you can on one, and then buy them all for that price.
Thank you.
Nigel has a suggestion that I'm not saying is goody two shoes. I'm not saying it's goody two shoes, but I'm also not saying that's not a valid suggestion.
Did he put it in the
What
chat?
about his
He did, yeah.
But if you're going to go the
That-
forgery, if you're going to go the forgery route, go the whole way and set her up as the victim of this nefarious cad trying to break away, and how he blackmails her and how she's trapped. She pleads with him. Set it all up sympathetically if you're going to go forgery route.
I mean, what you
I
could do if
think-
you're going to go forgery is just show her a forgery and say, hey, look, this one's forged. It's no different from yours.
I mean, you do have 2 copies of the exact same letter. I'm not, just throwing that out there.
And ours has a date on it, if we put a date on it.
Yep.
I think
One other angle on the forgery side, if you want to go that road, is to get samples of the landlady's letters and then set up a bunch of letters that show how she was manipulating and hitting on the bad guy to set her up.
That's
I'm not
starting to get a little
recommending it.
overly complicated. Let's not move into complicated letter forgery blackmail standards. That's
Let's go talk to
how
the
you get
fiance.
cast out of high society. So I hear.
Yeah, let's just let's keep it simple. Okay?
And if it was simple as forging letters that exonerate her, well, that would be a method, but it's better to do it truthfully, I think.
Hmm. Brad, is your mic not working? I see he is typing. Oh, you had to step away. Sorry. Well, I want to wait till Brad comes back because this is an interesting turn. And I'm very curious to see if you guys are going to walk on that type of dark side. I guess you guys can discuss. We will say that Brad has put that out there. In character, is that a pathway you guys would consider?
I think we're mostly uncomfortable with that pathway.
We're uncomfortable with it, and we have a higher priority, which is to go talk to the fiance while she stews over Price, and then we'll see what happens.
Well, yes, try and track down something on this missing fiance and find out what happened. Maybe he has a history of being murdered by paramours.
Or maybe she remembers his arsenic use, or whatever, would testify. From that physician thing earlier, with those dosages, would that be enough to build up and kill him? The one that does with a final dose with the one missing?
Absolutely. Those dosages would definitely, I think I said it, correspond well with the autopsy.
All right. So that is good evidence. And what was the time that he was engaged to this other gal versus this timeline we haven't from the dosages?
The only thing I said was, and you have to keep in mind is just because you guys have interpreted the numbers, there's no labels on the numbers.
Yeah, I
It's
understand.
very circumstantial.
Yeah, the fiance. When was she his fiance? How long they were together? What, a year? The
A few years ago.
It was,
It was
the-
many years ago, because what's 8, something like that, 6 to 8 years ago, something.
okay. So it'd be more of a testimony to his lack of character than anything else.
Yeah.
To read into the record, in case someone is listening to this but not watching. Well, you can't see necessarily the screen unless Brad has it up while he's recording. The point would be just to get the landlady to think her letters are less valuable than they really are, driving down the cost. Get her to make a deal and also make sure she actually hands over all of the letters, because we have no guarantee she wouldn't hold back. And quite frankly, unsaid, but absolutely a possibility, she is not the type of person to make necessarily honest deals.
Yeah. I think we might get some of them for the gold, and we're gonna have to burgle as the backup plan personally, but we'll see how that plays out.
Well, we can always imply and point out that we can make good copies of any letters and make new letters, so that does reduce the value. We've already done that.
So you're all heading off to find the first fiance then?
What is her name, by the way?
The first fiance's name was Blair. Is what we've got. So
That sounds reasonably accurate.
Is it a first or a last name?
Blair Anderson.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's right.
Oh, certainly that was her maiden name. It's been a few years. She might be married by now.
And my recollection is the guy imitated like a defrocked French noble or something. Is that what we talked about?
That's what he always claimed to be. Whether that was imitation, truth, or there is
Stories
less
he-
certain.
Your character who had nobility, the name that he's using, or his last name, does not
Yeah.
tie to any French nobility that
Ability.
you've ever
Heard of, yeah. And French nobility is a fairly
it's a common
inconsistent thing.
Yeah, it's a common nom de claire for scammers. It's the equivalent of a Nigerian prince today in an email.
They keep changing their mind about whether or not they want to be a monarchy or an empire or that sort of thing. I believe they're currently on not an empire, having quietly lost an emperor in a recent conflict with Prussia.
That was careless.
He was. There's a lot where the French may have given up just out of sheer embarrassment.
When was Napoleon?
Napoleon the First. Waterloo was about 1815, so ages ago.
Oh, so that's
Recently,
like
or something like that.
What's that? Sorry.
Napoleon, wasn't he from like Corsica or something?
He's from Corsica, which is an island that belongs to France traditionally, and he was essentially became emperor by force, and then he was overthrown. But then they put one of his, after another period of being a republic, they put one of his sons on the throne, and I think we had a couple of those. The last one was Napoleon III, who dies during the Franco-Prussian War, which doesn't go well for the French at all. So
I'm giving myself a cookie for remembering he was from Corsica. Like,
yeah, of course, yeah.
It's been a while since I took that history course.
And was locked away in Elba for a while and escaped and such. And yes, so the French tried Napoleon
for a short period, escaped and took back over for a short period.
Yeah,
the military liked him.
He got overthrown and kicked out and put in Elba, and then brought back, went and lost Waterloo, and then got thrown out permanently. But then sometime later, French monarchists put one of his descendants on the throne as Napoleon II, and I think we then had Napoleon III. There might have been another period of republic in that. The French didn't go through them some, because I think they're on like their fourth republic at the moment.
Yeah, it wasn't Prussia unified Germany, and then the Italian city-states coalesced too, isn't it, about at this time period?
Yeah, the German Empire is ruled by Prussia, and Italy, I think, is coalescing around this point, but I'm much hazier on those points there. And France is still France, but it's currently, I said, being run by a government without a specific monarch.
All right.
Mostly out of embarrassment.
So
right.
Brad said, if you really want to mess with her, you could forge an unsent letter from our CAD to the landlady, confessing feelings but lamenting the situation, keeping them apart. She thought he was interested in her anyway, so it would play on those emotions and maybe make her more agreeable.
Potentially, but we would need a good sample of his handwriting.
I was going to, you have to get a sample of his handwriting, which you can do. But if you're looking for Blair, I think maybe August does some of that evidence analysis-esque things, investigating type things, to try to find out her married name and location, which isn't going to be all that hard. You have her maiden name. You just basically go find who her parents were, and then it shouldn't be too terrible.
We do that. Go, August, go.
Yep.
Would I be able to aid him with using etiquette to contact sort of in higher places to ask a few questions? To ask a few questions about, trying to track down someone, possibly under the suggestion that she might be a friend of the family who I'm trying to catch up with, who we've lost touch with.
Okay, and I'm back now.
Hooray! at 21 on etiquette to politely ask information and
Okay.
to help
Now
August find things.
let's roll.
Sorry, what was that?
You are doing a roll.
Right, evidence analysis.
Yep. Anybody else who has something similar, such as the etiquette, and wants to throw in, be my guest.
Uh, 14.
14. All right. Between you two, you guys have a location and a married last name and can go off and knock on the door.
What is
I
the
will.
protocol for approaching someone who has a hint of scandal in their past that protects her, and kind of like, how do you handle this sort of
Go in.
Not on the doorstep.
We go in looking as professional as possible. Ask if we may talk to her about a sensitive matter.
okay,
Preferably in private, so as to not.
A private, sensitive matter. Yes, and Morgana puts on her best airs and graces.
what is the neighborhood like they live in, the family?
She lives in a very. It would remind Morgana a lot of her own neighborhood.
Oh, she married up.
No, the Blair with the impression was she was quite well off, but
Yeah, Blair was very well off. That's why, in a lot of respects, he probably went after her in the first place. She did marry up somewhat. She went from being very upper, we have money but no title, to having a minor title.
Okay.
So she did marry up, but
Alright.
may have not as up as you might have originally thought.
All right.
Basically, let's be honest, her family married her to a name. And that family married her for access to cash flow.
Oh, poor woman.
It was very common. It was a good trade-off.
It was a good trade-off and took a couple of generations for the stigma to wash off, but
the family thinks it's a good trade-off. Obviously,
yeah,
whether she did or not,
Yeah, I get it. Mech is in bodyguard mode. We support it.
yes,
So
Morgana.
I was gonna say, you guys go and knock on the door. Some butler will answer the door and have the eyebrow raised at, "Why are all you riffraff on my doorstep?"
Morgana
Because
will.
the butler acts like it's his doorstep. I don't know why.
He's a butler. They are the snootiest people in the house every time. Morgana will smart butler off the card. 26 to first impression, the butler into being cooperative. I'm here to talk to Blair, insert married name here, or Mrs. insert married name here. Actually, lady insert appropriate name. I'll use the appropriate titles. We are investigating something. There is nothing detrimental to her in this, but it is a sensitive matter, and I would beg that we have a chance to talk to her in private.
Thankfully, you rolled really good on that. So he does allow you in. He takes you into what is very obviously like a morning sitting room or an afternoon sitting room.
Yeah.
And says something along the lines of, would you like tea? And you're in there for a few minutes. A maid comes in with a tea cart and serves some tea, and then she leaves, and then the butler opens the door, and you wouldn't call her classically stunning, but pretty. And even though she's now in her probably early 30s and she has a bit of a mom body, like she's had children looking body, she's still fairly pretty and young looking. But she's not alone. There's a man who comes with. He makes sure she's seated. She pours him a cup of tea. Apparently knows exactly how he likes it. Hands him a cup, and the man looks at all of you. And whereas she looks fairly genteel,
Yeah.
he looks a little sharper and a little more guarded. You're investigating something involving my wife.
Your wife is, I fear, tangentially linked to this, and we hope to gain more information about a person she knew some years ago.
I take it this is involving the dreadful cat's death. Couldn't have happened to a lovelier chap. And he looks like that man's name could churn, sugar into nastiness in your mouth. And she gets a little kind of sad look. He's not a nice man.
It does appear to be something. Sorry, what was that?
She just says something sadly like he's not a nice man and takes a sip of tea.
He was not. However, we are attempting to investigate the circumstances of death to make sure that an innocent woman isn't punished for crimes for something she did not do.
He looks and he says, I'm just glad that my wife's family did a better job of protecting her than that girl's family did. However, ask what questions you will, as long as you don't upset my wife much. And whereas he sits back, which would lead you to believe that he's relaxed, he does not come off as relaxed. He comes off as protective. Whether it's of her, of their position, you can't be for sure. But definitely he comes off protective. I think we lost a Weymont.
Oh, yeah. Empathic sense of 8 on the wife and 10 on him to try and get their moods.
8 on the wife. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I'll do similar and likewise. Bear with me just 1 second.
Okay.
Quick roll. 10.
On the wife or the husband?
The wife.
Okay. Are you doing the husband as well?
I can do. Bear with me.
I'm back. Computer had a bit of a fit there for a moment.
Better on him, 13.
All right. So on the wife, Joel, you get a sense of sadness.
Yeah.
August, you get it's like a nostalgic sadness. It's that memory of something that used to be sad, but there's been so much since then that you don't dwell on it, type of thing for her.
Yeah.
On the guy, you again get that sense of protectiveness, but protectiveness you're now sure is towards her. There is a bit of family honor, blah blah blah, but mostly he's protective of his wife. August, you also detect that little thread of anger. That when somebody from long ago, even though it was forever ago in the grand scheme of the universe, right?
Yeah.
That hurt your loved one. But even if they've let it go, you still want to kind of put your foot up there or something?
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, I think everybody who's had a significant other has had that You hurt my baby. I'm gonna kick your. Even though said person is like, honey, that was 10 years ago. That was before you, and I don't even care anymore. And they're still like, they don't get to hurt you. I don't care if it's before I met you.
Yep.
Yep.
So, what questions are we asking?
Give me a moment. I was going to be making make a first impression roll on them as well, which will be 14, 33.
Sorry, what?
33.
Are you using D8s? Because I'm telling you right now, in the bloody river, all
I'm
of
not.
them.
There is not a D8 in those rolls.
Okay. Well, apparently you have a very good way with this household. They all like you. You get extra scones.
Yeah, Morgana is going to do her best to talk about it, sensitively and quietly, and put it in the terms of, we understand that you knew him, that the young lady who is standing accused appears to be a victim of his charms, which I'm sure you understand, and that it's been reported in the press that he died of arsenic poison, hasn't it?
So she's going to give you a general tale. He, however, makes it very clear that he doesn't want his wife's name, their name,
Your
paper, or bantered
Your
about
wife's-
newspapers. They don't want to be associated with us.
I will assure him that we will not be using their name at all. This is a matter of gathering information to understand, so we can better understand the situation, and they will get their names will be held in strict confidence. That's the word I'm looking for.
We're looking to understand his patterns.
So she starts to tell a tale. It starts when she was around 15. This older than her gentleman, I mean, keeping in mind that this was years ago, so he was in his early 20s, but understand she was 15.
Yeah.
Bumped into her, and he knocked some packages out of her hands, and he helped her pick them up. And then some maid brought her a rose and a note where he was apparently moved by her gentle, beautiful smile, blah, blah, blah. And that she had quite fallen for it and was even meeting him a little bit in public places. And that her parents were less than thrilled and tried to put a kibosh. And she had written to him, he had written to her, he had tried to get her to sneak out and meet him, blah, blah, blah. And her parents, unlike the other girl who burnt the letters,
Yep.
Some part of you has to wonder if he may have even told the current young lady to burn the letters for this exact reason. Her letters were found. And they went from putting a wet blanket and a keep watch on to all but she was never without a trusted household member or staff. Ever.
Yeah.
She couldn't go walk down the street without 3 people. Well, thank you for that, Echo. Shush. Echo's not sure how to help anybody with that. He then threatened, like, he sent letters in the mail. But because her parents were so on top of it at this point, her parents saw the letters. He threatened to take her letters and blah, blah, blah. And he threatened to harm himself. All those things. Actually, her father did not offer to pay for them back. He offered to have him beaten up and taken from his dead body, but she puts it a little nicer that her father was quite angry over the situation and had grilled her vigorously about what she would have written. Nothing that she wrote into it was anything more than lovesick pining from a young girl.
Yeah.
And again, since you don't have his letters, you again could possibly wonder if he didn't encourage such candidness. Because her letters didn't have anything that could be severely used. And he did end up in the hospital where he apparently made good with and instead of having oh my gosh, she ran from her father into his arms to check on him. Her father used this to say he's a terrible, weak man who makes poor choices, and just shut that all down. Matter of fact, they basically took her to Europe. She went to go to Europe and go to parties to not be near any of this. Yes, and you guys knew that he had been in the hospital not just for the arsenic poisoning, but he actually spent a very short time in a hospital because he did indeed, on paper if nothing else, try to kill himself. There is always the question
in the sanitarium.
How
I'm doing a little dance. That's a great thing for the lawyer to be able to.
Yes.
Go and we can completely confirm without bringing them into it.
Since somebody rolled so well, she'll even give you that he did it under a different name. It is not a French last name. I know you're horrifyingly surprised.
Oh.
The husband will say something sort of under his breath, not quite, that he thinks that the French last name is absolutely just completely made up.
I'm inclined to agree.
They have nothing but horrible things to say about that man. I mean, she says everything fairly politely. He says the occasional grumbled under his breath, and cad would be a nice way of putting it. But yes, he basically, and you can see it as tremendously controlling, but keep in mind, this is a 15 into a 16-year-old young lady.
Yeah.
And her parents, like, Morgana might realize and think about it as it is very, like, she could not leave the house without one or two people with her. Like, just in case the one could be bribed, there were two, type of thing. And literally, when he pulled this whole thing about, killing himself, and they took her out of the country.
Okay.
So, were her parents a wee bit controlling? Oh my, yes. Was it the wrong thing to do? Parenting is hard. But it seems to have worked out fairly well for her.
Well, for her, yes.
Apparently, as far as you can tell, this is a decent match. Whether they were madly in love or not, but they seem to care enough about each other. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, any additional questions that you want to ask her that her story didn't cover?
That actually would seem to cover quite a lot of what we would have liked, if not more, particularly the names. Make sure we know if she knows which hospital he was in, that sort of thing. That's in a town like this is not going to be a huge amount of choice.
Do you still have any of the letters from him, or have they all been destroyed?
Her father destroyed them as soon as he found him and had a tirade.
Morgana will.
I was going to bring out the piece of paper with the numbers on it and ask, does this pattern of numbers look familiar to you at all? This was found in his bedroom.
It does not.
Okay.
In the continued campaign to get them to like them, I presume because a conversation of 22, and Morgana will politely ask them if they would to what's the words? Um, understand, and we are trying to help a young lady who this man has manipulated.
She is
And
very
tricked.
sympathetic about the young lady. The husband is somewhat sympathetic, but
Yeah.
mostly angry that her family didn't protect her enough.
Yes. Yeah, no, and Morgana actually agrees with them on that point, but equally, while she's mostly for women's liberation, a certain amount of
There is the
family
women's
should
liberation
protect.
part, and also with this woman, you could firmly believe that he told her to write explicit things. He told her to
Yeah.
burn the letters.
That
Like,
she was
he may have learned some lessons from this one for the next one.
anything, that they are people of influence, they don't need to say that, but even if they can just, a scandal of this nature is going to be discussed, even if not loudly at social events, anything that can be help this poor girl. If she did it, she has justice must be served, but if she didn't, this is a terrible stain where she has been manipulated by a terrible person, and it could be a stain on her that she may have to carry her entire life, which, if she is innocent, is deeply unfair.
The lady agrees.
Anything you can do to make people think.
But the husband is like, the stain is already there, and it can't be undone. And that just makes the lady look a little sadder.
Morgana will bite her tongue on that. Morgana will somewhat bite her tongue on that, but the severity of the stain can be lessened with understanding.
You feel like you may not have been able to soften the husband a lot, but you do feel that the lady, you feel that she gets it.
And her saying it is probably at least as valuable, because she is probably the sort of person who knows and holds in the party with all the important women in town.
That is her job. All right.
I will glance at my companions in a sort of, have we got anything else? And if there isn't, thank them very kindly for their time. Promise them that their names will not come up
And anything
in anything public.
Yeah, make sure we hand over a card. Anything that you can think of afterwards that might assist, please let us know. And to be clear, we know the character of this man. Even in death, his actions could have repercussions for other people. If there's clearly he's not the type that you are in favor of. So anything that you can do that would make clear to the rest of the world exactly what type of man he was would be helpful.
And while there may be a stain, we all know that he is a villain. Will be said to the.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, that would be to the husband mostly. So.
The husband will actually thank you as right, asking you. He looks at Mac after Mac says that, and he seems to seriously consider it and nods his head and goes, after he notices his wife has wandered off to go, some maid had a question, nanny, whatever, you're not sure, has wandered off a bit. The last name was Blake. That's the last name he uses when he's not using the fake French one.
Thank you very much.
And I believe it was the Westinghouse Asylum. And he nods kind of curtly and walks off. And with that, I think we're going to pause for today.
that Westinghouse Asylum.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Although Westinghouse may be one word, and I'm a bad typist.
Yeah.
Good game, you guys. You guys did a lot of really good, orphaning and investigation.
The orphaning
So-
was mostly Mac, I believe.
So how many ticks do I get in riposte for my bodyguard orphaning someone? That's what I want to know.
You get none.
Damn, it's worth a try.
So
They're the 2 skills I need to put up to go up professional rank.
I'm actually excited because we've been getting legend points or whatever you call them in this game, but I've got enough ticks to increase some stuff now.
yeah, I was just going to ask about that.
Points or tips? Legend points for today?
Legend points today would be if we're getting adventure points even, to use the technical
Yes,
term.
adventure points. Sorry, what was the last part?
I think
Ticks.
Matt. Yeah.
How many
Adventure-
ticks?
You need
How
the
many
ticks on the
ticks?
skills to increase them, but you need the APs to be able to spend on it.
Yeah,
You need.
I get that, but my question is, do you need to have as many ticks as the rank it currently is, or the rank you want to take it to?
Rank you're going to.
Yeah.
So if
Thank
you're
you.
going from a 2 to a 3, you have to have 3.
3 ticks.
Yeah, I've got.
Nuts.
And
Okay,
Andy,
thanks.
I will send you a little post that's. I've got the dates I got each tick, and then I've got the ticks, and then I've got the LP, and I'll send you a little update because it's the first time I get to spend some of the adventure points. This is fun.
Well, the ticks, I think,
Drew?
were just kind of honor system
Drew?
sort of thing.
It's an honor system on that. Don't wreck your head over that.
Right.
And if you need a tick and you haven't managed to get it in game for some reason, you can always give me a logical reason you had practiced that, and we can work something out. I'm pretty easygoing.
Yeah, I
Very
appreciate.
laid
I understand that, and I appreciate that. What I've been doing is I've been trying to take actions that use the what do they call them, prime or the core or something. Like been trying to work that into the different scenes in different ways. So I've been jotting that down.
You're doing a fine job.
All right. So is there adventure points for today?
400. You guys have done a lot of good stuff today.
Cool.
Thank you.
Yay.
All right. Good game, you guys.
Just to give you, if you do want to do non-lethal damage, you can just declare you're doing that, and that will make it stun damage. It will stop 1 point short of killing a person. Just to throw that out there as a mechanic standpoint.
What?
Now, that only
He wanted orphans. Don't
That
judge
doesn't-
him.
that does only apply on like melee attacks. Obviously, you can't go non-lethal with like a firearm unless you're using like rubber bullets or something like that.
Actually, if Morgana will remember, once you crossed a line with Mac's protective bit, it was on. And it was there was no bones about it. Well, maybe there were bones sticking out, but it was like, no, you crossed the line, boom.
I would also point out that Mac may have noticed that Morgana is a fairly assured swordswoman.
And again, teamwork is great, squads are great, the army is great. You threaten who he's protecting, boom.
Yeah.
All right, well, really quick, let me go ahead and get the stream signed off. Thank you very much, everybody, for joining us. Please be sure to check out the Kickstarter, and we will see you guys next time.